it fixes it by itself. All right, here we go. On the 3, 2, 1. We are speaking with Plush's Moriah Formica and Brooke Colucci. Bonjour, as we say in Montreal. How are you?
Doing good. How are you?
Good. I am surviving. It is the third interview, so it's been a long day, but we like that. Let's quickly talk about Plush, but also get into what you two have done up to here. I mean, obviously, Brooke, your drum channel is incredible. It's just, the videos, and it's just always amazing just to see the songs you're choosing, because, you think you'd be playing along to whatever Michael Jackson's Beat It, and you're doing Metallica, and you're doing Tool, and it's actually quite remarkable. And Moriah, of course, your career has been just incredible since The Voice. So talking about how you all got together, and what is Plush? Is it a band? Is it just one single? What are we doing? Moriah, I'll go to you first.
Well, Brooke and I met actually through, my dad actually got in contact with her dad through a mutual friend that worked at a venue that we had both played at one time or another. And that's how we met. And I'd seen her on Instagram several times before that. And I was just like, so I knew exactly who she was. I was like, holy crap. And then, found out she only lived like not too far away from me. So we were like, oh my gosh. So we met up. That's how we met. And yeah, as far as Plush, Plush is our new band. It is a band. It's an all-female band. And yeah, and we're an original band. So we're putting out lots of original content.
Yeah, so talk to me about that. And here, I'll go back and forth, Brooke. In terms of being an original band, because you are doing these covers and stuff, how do you sort of approach this? Do you take the elements from these other bands? Do you just wipe the slate clean and just start writing? How are you approaching coming up with new material?
So of course, like we will take inspiration from people and everything, like people who like we have played. Like me personally, I have always been really inspired by Danny Carey's drumming. So there's times where I will implement like things that he might have done. But overall, like as a band, um, most of the time it'll be like for like the past couple songs that we've been working on, like Moriah has like come up with like a melody and then she'll send it to all of us and we'll all add like our own little flair to it. And yeah.
Yeah. Well, all right. So let's talk about some of the challenges, because Moriah, you obviously were on Team Miley, you did The Voice, and you have been working this constantly since, 2017? Right? 4 or 5 years, if not longer, before The Voice, I guess.
Yeah, I've been since I was about 11.
What are some of the challenges you face becoming a band and being an artist? Because the world it's tough out there in terms of trying to get new talent discovered. You look at the tours every summer, the venues are filled with Def Leppard and Poison and Air Supply and all these bands that are from 40 or 50 years ago. Mm-hmm. How do you find your space and your bands?
Well, it's been really, really, people have been like super welcoming. I really do think that people are just longing for new bands. I mean, especially all female bands. And rock and roll, just straight up rock and roll, real rock and roll, not just like, I'm not like talking about like girl bands or whatever, but.
Well, listen, there is a perception, when you do say girl bands, there is a perception of whatever, a Destiny's Child or something that's more sort of, Spice Girls.
Right.
How do you convince the folks that, no, we're a rock and roll band. There's not going to be choreographed dancing going on here. So you could, I guess, fit it into a rock show.
I mean, not to sound like, too blunt or anything, but it's like, just look at us. Do we look? I mean, I don't look like somebody who's going to be dancing and singing in Destiny's Child. I love Destiny's Child. I love that music, but I mean, honestly, we just don't even have that look. So yeah, I hope we have people, but I guess that's the first thing I would say. But also, I think that our music will speak for itself, or I hope it does. So I think that that's kind of what, it's kind of just like, okay, here we are. This is who we are. This is what we are. Um, and then let people make up their own minds whether they hate us or love us.
Well, hopefully they'll hate you because it's the first single.
Right.
Brooke, in terms of working in the current context, putting a band together is tough enough as is. How has this whole COVID situation slowed down the process or sped it up? I mean, do you have more time just to sit around and write songs, or are you like, wow, we need to actually go play?
So it's definitely, I don't know, it's definitely helped us in some ways and also held us back. Like it held us back in the way where we can't get together as often as we would
Right.
like to because, we have to worry about like getting sick.
Mm.
But it has given us more time to be home to write more material to send out and yeah.
And
Yeah.
get it done.
Agreed.
Yeah. So let me quickly talk to you about the drum channel. So a lot of this, I guess, comes from the dads, right? The dads love rock and roll, and the daughters. I love rock and roll. My daughter likes Drake. I mean, well, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? I went wrong somewhere along the way. But talk to me about drumming and your first love of the instrument. Was it really just dad, or how did you gravitate to that?
So I definitely like my dad has always encouraged me, and growing up he would always show me like the Batalla de las Tambores that Godsmack does, the drum battle. And when I was in first grade, I actually went to my friend's birthday party, and it was a music themed birthday party, and they had musicians come with instruments, and we all got to try each instrument. So as soon as I sat behind the kid, like I just fell in love. So that's really how I got into it.
And you started up the drum channel on YouTube, and almost 300,000 subscribers, millions and millions of views. Were you surprised by that, by the reception of people going, "Wow, okay, look at her"?
Yeah, absolutely. I would never expect to be like where I am today when I started. But I'm just really, really grateful that I've been given what I have been. So.
And I'm curious about this because I've watched other videos of other people, doing guitar covers and drum covers and stuff. I've always wondered, how do you keep that stuff up there and not have YouTube strikes for copyright? I'm kind of, how do you not get dinged all the time?
I have no idea. I have gotten a couple copyright strikes on some of my songs, but I just kind of record them and post them and hope for the best.
Oh, okay, because I've always wondered. I always see that. I did a podcast and I literally had 15 seconds of a Whitesnake song as an intro to a David Coverdale interview,
Mhm.
and they took it down. I was like,
Oh my
but
God.
look at the drum covers.
Right.
Yeah, we had Here I Go Again playing in the bed, and they took the whole thing down, and I was like,
Oh my God.
it's like, all right, Mariah, talk to me about your voice and finding your voice. Obviously, you were on The Voice. Talk to me about having that rock voice and discovering it and strengthening it, because you've had a chance to work with Michael Sweet. You've had a chance to work with some of these great vocalists. What are some of the tips they've given you to sort of move it forward?
I as far as finding my voice, I started singing around. I didn't actually start singing until I was about 9 or 10. Guitar was my first instrument, and so it was really a shock to me to discover that I, sang good or whatever, because I didn't know at 9 or 10. I was just like, yeah, I sing. I like to sing songs, but it's not necessarily like, wow, I have a good voice. And so yeah, I was at a kind of a similar situation as Brooke, I guess, with her drums. Is it was at my cousin's graduation party, and so both parties, I guess. But my friend was like, "Hey, do you want to do karaoke?" And I was like, I don't know. I didn't talk much as a kid, and so I was like, whatever. And she was like, "Let's do Rolling in the Deep" by Adele. So like we started singing, and the next thing I knew, everybody was like, "Oh, Josh, Donna, have you heard your daughter sing?" And it was just this big thing. And so ever since then, I, started I was serious about singing, and as far as growing my voice and kind of developing it, and it's still growing 100%. You know, I'm only 20, but it's definitely still growing. But my most helpful tip for growing it was starting voice lessons at 11 or so. It really, really just taught me how to preserve my voice for years and years and years to come, and you know how to find my voice too, how to find my sound, you know, because you can always just cover people, but you know it's different when you have original material and you have an original voice.
Oh, absolutely.
As far yeah,
go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, as far as Michael Sweet and stuff, you know, he's helped me a lot as far as because I know that because we would have conversations all the time. I'd be like, Michael, like, your voice is just freaking ridiculous. And he would come off stage and be like, yeah, oh my gosh, I was so worried I wasn't gonna, or he was like, you know, my voice was really killing me today. I'm like, I couldn't tell at all. And so he kind of just really helped me realize that, look, you can't be so worried and panicky about, you know, whether your voice is going to sound perfect on stage, because it's not going to be perfect. And if you're having a bad vocal day, you just got to go out there and give it your best and, you know, try all you can. And at the end of the day, whatever it is. So Michael really gave me great advice.
Yeah, Michael's great. In fact, I think Michael is the first person who mentioned you to me years ago, if I'm not mistaken. Talk to me about forming a band, because since 2017 you've been Moriah, you've done a couple of singles, you've done some stuff. Why now a band, and what does that mean in terms of who you are as an artist? Do you sort of give in to the collective, or do you just say, hey, listen, I'm still a leader here? Like, talk to me about that and what changes for you. And Brooke wants to know if you're going to be the leader too, because she might have to talk to you about that.
Well, you know, I have always wanted to be for a part of a band. From the time I was like 5 or 6, I just always loved rock and roll. I remember seeing bands play, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, I want to be a part of a band, whether it was guitar playing or singing later on, I found out. But, and you know, the solo thing was great while it lasted. It worked. It got traction. Like, I was happy, you know, while I was doing it. But I just kind of hit a spot where I was feeling like I wasn't doing what I longed to do. You know what I mean? I started this solo project years ago, but the eventual goal was to, you know, find a band. Because that's just what I always wanted. And so, you know, the pandemic came, and I had actually just part ways with my backup band, and it was just time. It was just something that felt really, really right. You know, I discovered Brooke around the time we went to NAMM together, and we just like really bonded while we were at NAMM, and we jammed, and it just kind of happened. And I loved the idea of sharing, you know, my passion with 3 other extremely talented women. So I just, and as far as being the leader, this is a cohesive band. This is a band, you know. We all have say. We all are going to write together. We all have, you know, all of our voices matter just as much. And, you know, that's what this is.
Well, that's good to hear. We'll see what happens after the first 5 top 10 singles, if you still feel that way.
No.
Brooke, was this always your life ambition too, to be part of a band? Because you're doing these videos, these drum videos, and they're not part of creating new music. They're just, here's Brooke playing drums, and they're great. But was it always about being in the music business and being in a band? Or is this something that you're sort of doing now for fun and you have other goals? Or where do you see it moving?
My goal has definitely always been to be in the music industry. That's always been my dream. And as well as like being in a band, that was like always my goal. It's my dream to be in a successful band. But yeah, that's always been my top priority.
That's always been your priority. In terms of moving forward with the drums, do you see yourself experimenting into different music genres, or do you sort of really just like the rock stuff and I want to do that? Because, I have a lot of drummer friends who will go off and they'll tour with Pink, or they'll tour with Gwen Stefani, and then they'll go tour with, Alice Cooper or whatever, and they're doing all these different styles. Where do you see yourself stylistically? One kind or multifaceted?
I mean, I always have rock has always been my first love and everything, but over the years I've definitely grown to appreciate other types of music like funk, jazz, R&B, all that other kind of stuff. And lately I have been jamming to these drumless tracks, and they're all funk and everything, so I really do enjoy playing other genres as well.
Well, that sounds good. Moriah, in terms of production and producing, does the band Plush go in and self-produce, or do you have sort of a list of guys you would like to work with? I mean, obviously we'd all like to work with Mutt Lange at some point, but how do you sort of see it? Do you really want it to be, like you said, a unit, and it's just we're this and we're going to produce it ourselves, or how do you see the album coming together?
Well, I definitely want to work with a producer. I think that that's the best thing, and I always think it's helpful to bring in other people's visions and opinions, and because it only can make the song better. And we had the amazing chance to work with a really cool producer for this next single that's coming out, Hate, and a couple more other songs. His name's Johnny K, and he's just amazing. He's Grammy nominated, and he's worked with bands like Disturbed and Three Doors Down, Hailstorm. And so that was really, really awesome for us to experience. And, but yeah, I definitely see us working with other producers and stuff like that. I don't necessarily see us just in a studio together, kind of just hitting buttons and doing stuff ourselves.
trying to figure it out.
It would be fun. I think definitely, in the far future, I think it would be fun just to get together and, do a self-produced album. It would be fun.
In terms of the recording process, are you in favor of getting into a studio as a band and sort of setting up the mics and all four of you go at it? Or do you like the whole use of technology where you send your part in and they fly it into Pro Tools? And do you like it more organic, or do you like it more, I don't know, computer?
I honestly 100% prefer to, have everyone come into the studio and record, together, and have the whole crew together. Because aside from just, having a clearer vision because we're all together in person, you also just have a lot of time to bond with your bandmates and, your team that you're working with. And it's just a fun time, So I definitely prefer going into a studio.
Four on the floor, plug in and play. The voice, obviously, you've talked about this ad nauseum, but what kind of business lessons do you learn from that? Because it's a show, but it's also a business. They make you sign a contract, right, and it can be restrictive depending on the show. Was that a wake-up call? Did you sort of say, whoa, I got to be more aware of what's going on business-wise? Or do you sort of just run into it and go, hey, look at that, here I am, I'm on TV, this is great? How did that affect you moving forward?
Honestly, at the time, I didn't have I felt like I didn't have anything to lose at the time. And so,
you didn't.
I didn't. Yeah, no, I certainly didn't. And so I just, I figured, hey, you know what? It's fine. And honestly, the contracts for that specific show weren't that, they really weren't bad. It was really just,
So they don't own you for the next 8 years like some of the other shows.
Right. It's not like American Idol or anything. It was kind of just basically, hey,
she said it, lawyers. She said it, not me.
But it was just basically, while you're on the show, just make sure you don't release music, and if you do, run it by the show. It's just stuff like that. But once you're eliminated from the show, everything kind of just stops.
They don't take your phone calls anymore. They're like,
right.
Who's that? You got to work with Team Miley. How is that? Because you look at her stuff, Hannah Montana over to what she does now, copying Olivia Newton-John songs under different names. What do you learn from her? Because that is, to me, the perfect model for almost any artist to follow. Just you follow your dreams, you do what you want to do, you are who you want to be, and you just keep pushing. It's a great message.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It was really cool to work with Miley. Being on Team Miley was amazing. We had a lot of fun, and she's really funny. And yeah, it was really fun. It was really fun to be on Team Miley.
And does she offer advice, or do you sit down and she gives you business advice or vocal advice or how to dress or how to wear your hair? Does she offer anything?
Yeah, something that I really liked about her is when you're on that show, you have a wardrobe team and you have your own stylist and stuff like that. And for one of the rounds, for the battles, my stylist was like trying to put me in, bedazzled, sparkling boots and heels and all sorts.
I know what you're saying. I tried that myself. It's terrible. It still just doesn't work. As you can tell, my stylist quit overnight. It's just not working.
No, you look great. Stop. But
hear that, dog? Yeah.
But yeah, they tried to put me in like this stuff that was just so not me.
Here, let me ask you this. All right, I'm going to stop you there for a second because, listen, you're both beautiful ladies, and they are going to try to dress you up and make you look and sell and the whole. Is that something that you just play along with and sell more albums, or at some point do you say, "Whoa, I'm not a Barbie doll. Like, calm yourself." Brooke, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I mean,
it is a concern.
Yeah, like I'm somebody like I really don't like being told what to wear at all.
Right.
Because I mean, for me, especially with like drumming, there's like some things that I can't wear because I can't play in it. Right. But I also just like, for me, fashion-wise, I really love to express myself with how I dress. So when somebody's telling me how I should dress, I don't get to do that.
Right, but you have to. At some point, a record company or something might say, "Well, it would be a lot sexier for the picture if you." Do you just say no? That's not no, or do you go, "Hey, listen, if it sells a few extra albums, why the fuck not?"
I mean, I would definitely be somebody who would say no to that.
Good, as you should.
It's like, it's just not me to like dress like all revealing and everything. Good. I'm somebody I like to be covered and stuff like that.
Well, it's not even just being covered. It's just being strong and saying no. me is me. I'm not doing that. And that I respect. That is. 100%. Listen, I have a 17-year-old daughter, and I respect the fact that you need to be who you are. Moriah, same question. If they say to you, you gotta, cut up the dress comes up a little bit, and then the V goes. Do you just go, stop it? I'm a rock band. I'm not a fucking Barbie doll.
Well, yeah. First of all, if they ever tried to put me in a dress, I wouldn't even wear a damn dress. I'd be like, listen, we're not wearing dresses. I'm not doing this. I don't even look good in a dress. I don't have the right body language. I don't have feminine enough body language to be in a dress. It's just not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
So, obviously, to an extent, we're going to have to do some things that we don't necessarily love, just to like play the game or
right,
like you were saying. But there is a line that I would have to stop it at, which is
it's a fine line,
right? Which is basically, if they ever tried to tell us things to be sexier or to look, to dress certain ways or whatever. If it's something that's totally against who I am, I'm just not doing it, period.
Good.
It's just not worth it to me.
Yeah. I mean, there is sort of an inherent sexism sometimes, and you see how they try to dress people up, And I look at Lee Aaron, the Canadian singer. I don't know if you know Lee Aaron at all. She was the metal queen back in the 80s. And when they started her off, they would do her in all these kinds of strange outfits. And she's not that. And I think she sort of regrets it. But I'm glad to see that we're past that. Where do we go from here? So the single comes out in a couple of days. Full album, tour. I mean, tour is hard to say. But where do we go from here? Either one.
Well, I think that I'm excited for one to see the the response to the song. I hope people really, really like it. But also, from here, like you were saying, tough to say when it comes to the live stuff. But as far as reaching people, I just want to reach people and touch as many lives as we can. And I just want to I want to help out rock and roll. I want to help to continue I want to help to
keep the music alive.
Yeah, excuse me. Yeah, that's what I meant. I want to help keep rock, I want to help keep rock alive and help the future of rock and roll, especially America. So that's where I see us going. And hopefully we get to play tons of live shows.
In Canada, too, at some point. But
yeah, certainly.
Yeah, we hear rock stars say rock is dead, rock is dead. And it's just like, rock has sort of become jazz in the sense that it'll always be there and it'll always be the big festivals. But is it going to be top 40 radio? No. But, jazz still sells great. It doesn't need to be on top 40 radio. Anyway, there we go. That was great. And, of course, Hate is the new single. But you're going to have to love Hate, that basically. Another great rock band. Thank you, Brooke. Thank you, Moriah. Great pleasure, Moriah. It's been a pleasure to finally talk to you over the... we do the Facebook friend thing. We've done the Twitter friend thing. But here we are. It's been, it took us 5 years. But hey, here we are. Thank you. As we say in Montreal, merci beaucoup. Thank you both.
Thank you so much for having us.
Absolutely. Cheers. Anytime. All right, perfect. I'll turn that